Hello guys, how are you today? I hope you're fine. Let's start our lesson today. Today we're going to talk about the difference between osmosis, diffusion, and active transport. Let's start off with the diffusion. It is the movement of particles from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration, and we call it passive. It's considered to be a passive transport. While osmosis is the movement of water across a semi-permeable membrane from a region of low concentration to a more concentrated solution up a concentration gradient, and we call it, and it happens, in the or we consider it as a passive transport. This means passive transport means there is no energy. So there is no energy in diffusion needed for the passage of molecules during diffusion and osmosis. Let's know the definition of active transport. Active transport is the movement of molecules from a region of low concentration to a region of high concentration, in the presence of energy. Diffusion, Let's start to know what is diffusion and what happens during diffusion. Diffusion, we said that it's the movement of molecules from a region of high concentration, to a region of region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. So, for example, here we have, this is a gas, an example of a gas, a diffusion of gas. Like, for example, we have a perfume. If we have a perfume, open a perfume, and then the perfume starts to spread all over the room. This means it has changed. It has spread. The perfume spread from high concentration to low concentration, and all the molecules of the perfume will be spread in the room. Let's know now in this process what's required. There is no need for energy. There is no need for energy in case of diffusion. It occurs both in gases and liquids. It doesn't require a semi-permeable membrane. This is diffusion. It also, so let's know now diffusion. This is diffusion in liquids. You see this is sugar or salt or whatever. This is the solute, and this is the solvent, the water. So solute transport in from left to right, and the movement of the solids is due to the concentration gradient. So let's know now where the examples of diffusion. Examples of diffusion: oxygen and carbon dioxide enter and leaves the lungs. This is the first example. The second example is when nutrients move across the small intestine into the blood, and this happens during absorption. So during absorption, the nutrients move by diffusion. Nutrients and waste, the last nutrients and waste material pass across the placenta in a pregnant woman's womb. So this is the last type or example of diffusion. This is liquid. We have here, this is the solute, and this is the liquid. So the particles here, the sugar or the salt, start to spread from high concentration to low concentration until it is all distributed in the jar. Let's go to what is osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules only from a dilute solution, into a concentrated solution across a semi-permeable membrane. This process, there is no need for energy for the molecules to pass. They require semi-permeable membrane. Occurs faster as the temperature increases. Okay, so can you see here, this is a concentrated sugar solution. So it is, osmosis is known by the movement of only water, Let's see how. This is a concentrated sugar solution and this is a dilute sugar solution. What happens here? The water, this is the blue part, which passes into the from dilute to concentration, yani from high concentration of water to low concentration of water. So the water starts moving from high concentration to low concentration of water. Until what happens? Until all the water here passes in to the concentrated sugar solution. So water molecule passes through, not sugar, and sugar will not pass through. Can you see the number of sugar particles here are the same? Nothing happened to it. Only the water the water molecules are passed through the semipermeable membrane. Okay, let's see the next. Let's have a look quickly at the difference between osmosis and diffusion. Osmosis, it is limited only in the liquid medium. Diffusion happens in solids, liquids, and gases. Okay, here osmosis requires semipermeable membrane. Here diffusion do not require a semipermeable membrane. Osmosis depends on the number of solute particles dissolved in solvents. Diffusion depends on the presence of other particles. Osmosis require water for the movement of particles. So here for diffusion do not require water for the movement of particles. Osmosis only solvent molecules can diffuse. Here diffusion, both molecules of solute and solvent can diffuse. And so on and so on. We're not going to go into details. Then we have this picture here. Osmosis, water molecules only acts on water molecules. High concentration of water, low concentration of water, then it passes osmosis, yes, high concentration of water to less concentration of water. Okay, and diffusion is from high concentration of particles into from high concentration to low concentration. It's the same, but osmosis is for water only, and diffusion happens in gases, liquids, and solids. The difference between diffusion and osmosis: diffusion, solvent and solute particles move to equalize the concentration. No semipermeable membrane involved. Here osmosis, only solvent particles move. Solute particles do not move, like the salt and the sugar, they don't pass. The movement is through a semipermeable membrane. Okay, both of them have, and this property equalizes the concentration of two solutions in. Active transport. Active transport is the movement of molecules in the region, from the region of low concentration to a region of high concentration in the presence of the following. Okay, normally it's in the presence of energy. Okay, so it requires energy released from the ATP. It occurs against the concentration gradient, because we are forcing the molecules to move from low concentration to high concentration, which is opposite to osmosis and diffusion. The last thing, it requires a semi-permeable membrane to occur. Examples of active transport: minerals from the soil enters the roots. Glucose from a small intestine enters the blood, which is during absorption. Sodium and potassium ions move across the cell membrane. Okay, so now we have taken we know now the difference between active transport, osmosis, and diffusion. Let's quickly revise osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of particles. Okay, let's go quickly revise it. Okay, it happens, as we said before, it's the movement of water from high concentration to low concentration. It occurs when water from the soil enters the roots of the plant. These are the examples of osmosis. Water moving across the wall of nephron in the kidney, water moving across the small intestine into the blood. So these are the examples of osmosis, and we said that osmosis doesn't need energy to move the particles, require semi-permeable membrane, occurs faster as temperature increases. So I'm sure now that you understood the difference now between diffusion, osmosis, and active transport. So briefly we say diffusion is the movement of molecules from a region of high concentration to a region of lower concentration. Okay, and finally we let's briefly say what is active transport. Active transport is totally opposite to osmosis and diffusion. Why? Because the movement of molecules, they move from a region of low concentration to the region of high concentration under a certain required energy, which is released from the ATP, and it occurs against the concentration gradient, because the molecules move from low concentration to high concentration, and requires always a semi-permeable membrane for it to happen. I hope that you enjoyed today's lesson. Good luck and study hard. Thank you. Bye for now.